Coming up on Cronkite News, the debt ceiling deal is heading towards a critical House vote, causing controversy on both sides of the aisle.
Plus, we head to the U.S. border with Mexico, where the migrant crisis has also turned into a health crisis.
And later, find out what Phoenix Mercury is doing to raise awareness for mental health.
Cronkite News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm Alexis Davis.
And I'm Bree Pacelli. Thank you for joining us.
Our top story, the U.S. House is on track for a vote tonight on the country's debt limit. The vote comes after a deal between President Biden and House Speaker Kevin McCarthy.
But not everyone is on board with the plan, including some Arizona politicians on both sides of the aisle. But President Biden said late today he's optimistic the vote will pass.
We're going to deal with the debt ceiling. I think things are going as planned, God willing. I'll be landing in Colorado tonight in preparation for my commencement speech at the Air Force Academy tomorrow. And God willing, by the time I land, the Congress will have acted, the House will have acted, and we'll be one step closer.
In a statement, Democrat Representative Raul Grijalva says he is voting no because the proposed deal is a slap in the face to Arizonans and people across the nation. Also noting that it forces working people to foot the bill rather than cut the deficit by making the wealthy and corporations pay their fair share. Republican Representative Andy Biggs, Eli Crane, and Debbie Lesko have all stated online they will also be voting no. Biggs tweeted, "The McCarthy-Biden plan continues massive deficit spending that will lead to an unsustainable, indefensible growth of our national debt." And Congresswoman Debbie Lesko tweeted she could not vote for the bill in good conscience, saying, "The bill allows unlimited borrowing with no debt ceiling cap." Democrat Representative Greg Stanton said he plans to vote in favor of the agreement, saying in a statement, "I will support this agreement not because it is perfect, but because it is a bipartisan compromise that will avert economic catastrophe."
Adding teammates throughout the season is tough for any team to adjust to.
And to integrate someone who hasn't played basketball in almost 600 days is even harder. Adrian Carball has more on how the Phoenix Mercury are working through this time.
But despite these adjustments, the Mercury seem to have found a new groove with star center Brittney Griner after winning their first game of the season last Thursday night. The Mercury picked up their first win of the season on May 25th, beating the Minnesota Lynx at home. And it seems as though the team is finally starting to gel after a series of injuries and roster changes plagued them in their first two games. With Brittney Griner back in the rotation this season, teammates and coaches are all finding ways to adjust to the six-time WNBA All-Star.
You have to play with a different cadence when you play with BG on a lot of things. She's just so unique physically that it's a different cadence, it's a different rhythm. Just getting used to like where she wants the ball, how she wants it. So, it's a work in progress, and I think today we took a step in the right direction.
I think that's the goal of a team, right? Team basketball, we're balanced in scoring. It's about everybody contributing, makes us much more difficult to guard. It's not just one player on a team, but we have a lot of great weapons. So when we play like this and we share the ball like this, we're a pretty tough team.
The Mercury will look to keep their momentum going Friday night against the LA Sparks. Tip-off is at 7 p.m. For Cronkite News, I'm Adrian Carball. Back to you guys.
As we come to the end of May, a reminder that it's also Mental Health Awareness Month, and the Phoenix Mercury are doing their part to break the stigma. Our Crystal Stone has more.
We do a lot of physical training, but we have to do mental training and mental support, and the mental health of our athletes is of the most importance to us.
The Phoenix Mercury are bringing mental health to the forefront, dedicating last week's game against the Minnesota Lynx to mental health awareness. Mercury guard Mariah Jefferson says she's excited they're highlighting the issue.
And for me, I think it's so important for people to be able to talk about their mental health. And in the past, you haven't seen that as much, and now we're celebrating it, and people are able to talk about it.
Sophie Cunningham missed the Mercury season opener due to a knee injury, but she's back on the court, contributing 13 points in their win against the Lynx. With all the ups and downs athletes face, she says focusing on your mental well-being is important.
it's a brutal business, and so you got to just make sure that you're happy, you have a balance, you have people around you who love you and are supportive.
I just encourage anybody, if you're going through anything, reach out and talk to somebody, because there's somebody there that can help you.
The Phoenix Mercury have partnered with Mind 24/7, which offers affordable and accessible mental health services 365 days a year, 24/7.
To me, it's really important because I transferred from a lot of different teams, you know, like through college, from Syracuse to Minnesota and then like SC. So like it's always been a question of adjusting to a new group, a new team, a new environment. And I really think the mental health aspect of it is really important.
With this new partnership, the Phoenix Mercury are showing their commitment to supporting mental health care here in the Valley. In Phoenix, Crystal Stone, Cronkite News.
Now to the migrant health crisis at the U.S. border, which has overwhelmed federal and local governments, even after the expiration of Title 42 earlier this month. Nonprofits and volunteer organizations are stepping in to help fill the gaps. At just one border town, El Paso, Texas, nearly 38,000 migrants have been allowed entry so far in 2023. Cronkite News reporter Ariana Ariza introduces us to some of the volunteers helping address migrants' health needs as they enter the United States.
For migrants at this El Paso, Texas clinic, a medical exam could be a lifesaver. Many have endured the perilous journey to get to the U.S. border.
Many have very pressing healthcare needs and needs for addressing mental health trauma, and in certain instances, addressing the trauma of literally falling off the wall.
That border wall is just a few blocks away. Migrants have flooded into El Paso in the past few months. Their sheer numbers have strained the city's social safety net. Dr. Glenn Fennelly chairs pediatrics at Texas Tech University, El Paso. He carves out time to volunteer at this clinic.
Many have walked in, shoes that don't have proper soles. They have cactus needles in their feet, and many have shared, stories of abuse, trauma, rape.
Fennelly leads volunteers from Texas Tech's Border Health Program. The clinic provides free medical and mental health care for migrants.
Usually, the patients that we see are here for acute clinical needs.
Medical students like Sharush Amid Varnia says migrants' health needs can be decades in the making.
Usually, they haven't had proper clinical care in their life even before coming to the United States. So it's really important for us to not just provide care for the condition that just brings them to us, but also find out what other needs they have.
These volunteers are part of a larger humanitarian effort to reinforce an El Paso medical system already overwhelmed by migrants. Diana Ureña is one of the lucky ones to make it into the United States. But first, she and her newborn son had to wait 16 days in Juarez before their entry was processed. Robbed on the journey, she has no money, so she bides her time at this shelter in El Paso. Ureña and her family left Ecuador to escape gangs, making their way through the Darien Gap, a roadless jungle that's a dangerous passage point for migrants.
Can you imagine living through that? In the jungle, you see dead people, you see everything. On top of that, girls get raped. I had that fear the whole journey, for me and my daughter.
Solange Uzcategui and her family experienced similar trauma on their trip from Colombia. Once here, Uzcategui's husband was arrested on an immigration violation, leaving her and her daughter stranded.
I'm desperate. I feel helpless and alone. Without my husband and money, I feel helpless.
Back at the medical clinic, the volunteer team does their work under the radar. The demand for healthcare is so high, the clinic would be overwhelmed if they advertised their services. Dr. Fennelly says it's a small solution born of necessity.
This is a humanitarian medical response to a man-made crisis.
For these volunteers, welcoming and healing is how they battle this crisis. I'm Ariana Ariza with Cronkite News in El Paso.
Last year, a shortage of lifeguards led to multiple pool closures.
But this summer, Phoenix is opening up more pools.
Still ahead on Cronkite News, we take a look at how communities in the Valley are reacting to open pools that serve as a safe place for children to jump in and cool off during the summer.
And we also take a closer look at the cooler temperatures creeping into the Valley and just how long we should expect them to stay.
The weather around Phoenix is just beautiful today. Let's take a look at the weather around the valley.
Thank you for joining us for the special edition of Cronkite News. Here are the top stories that we're tracking today at noon.
Some of the best players for their program.
Stream the best of PBS on any device with the PBS Video app. All your favorite drama, history, science, news, and documentaries, all in one place. Watch your PBS station live or catch up on the shows you missed. Discover new favorites from PBS and locally produced shows from your station.
Sign in and start streaming today.
Now on Passport.
What are you looking for in your life?
There's an important story that needs to be told.
Is it a sense of your own destiny?
Choose your story.
Try to help create change in some way.
It's a beautiful thing. Not very many people get to see.
Once you come into the neighborhood, you are a part of the family.
You can be a good person or a bad person. It's your choice.
Stop complaining and go actually do something.
Now you can stream even more documentaries with Passport on the PBS Video app.
As the temperatures rise, a lot of us head to the pools to cool down. City pools are especially welcome in neighborhoods across the Valley as an inexpensive way for fun, safe recreation.
Alexandra Cullen tells us about the City of Phoenix efforts to open as many neighborhood pools as possible this summer.
A day at a city pool is low cost. At some pools, it's even free for kids. There are swim lessons, water aerobics, and other exercise classes for all ages. Those are just some of the reasons the city felt the need to open as many pools as possible this summer.
The City of Phoenix has 29 pools, but in recent summers, a combination of issues related to COVID, staff shortages, and other factors kept many community pools closed to sunbathers.
In 2021, we only opened 12 pools, and now we're opening 8 pools 2 years later after we shut all the pools down in 2020.
This year, the city took proactive measures to attract and retain lifeguards and other staff members. They offered incentives and new training programs, and it seems to be working.
Our retention is increasing. The last 2 years, we have offered incentive pay to lifeguards. So this year, it's $3,000 of incentive pay on top of their paychecks.
The city is making this effort because they say their objective goes beyond just meeting the recreational needs of the community.
Families with kids need that outlet for kids to get their energy out, to stay cool. We have lifeguards on staff, so it's a safe place for them to swim, so parents have that outlet and that city service.
To ensure that Phoenix neighborhoods get to enjoy the water, the city is staggering the openings of facilities. Some of the smaller, older pools will open for a limited basis.
Throughout the summer, we'll have 12 that will go all season long, and we have 3 that will open in June, and then those will close down, and 3 will open in July.
In the end, the city says that they are excited to open the pool gates in the communities that they haven't been able to serve over the past few years. Because who doesn't love a trip in the pool on a hot summer day?
While the city had a soft opening this last weekend, most pools will open for swim lessons and extended hours starting next week. In the newsroom, Alexandria Cullen, Cronkite News.
Cooler temperatures around the Valley today, so how long can we expect the low temperatures to stay around?
John Kuzi joins us now with more on what we can expect.
Yeah, so as we move into Wednesday evening, a pretty cool evening by Arizona standards, 87 degrees at 6 p.m. But as we move later into the evening, 80 degrees around 10 p.m. So maybe a perfect evening for you to sit out on the patio and enjoy yourself a book. Looking ahead to the future, 8 p.m. here on 8:30 on Wednesday. We got some rain in Kingman, some clouds in the Grand Canyon. But as we go further into the future, Thursday morning, we got some rain still up here in that Kingman, Flagstaff area. But as you look at the rest of this day, a lot of activity in the Grand Canyon and Flagstaff with rain. So be sure to come prepared, bring yourself a rain jacket or an umbrella to stay dry. Looking at our lows, 71 in Phoenix, up north, Flagstaff and the Grand Canyon have our frigid temperatures around 40 and 38 degrees. As we move into our highs, 92 in Phoenix, but out at Lake Havasu City, 94. That's going to be our high, so remember to stay hydrated if you're going to be out there. As we look ahead to our 8-day forecast, 92, 95, a little reprieve from the heat for the remainder of this week. But as we move into the weekend, back to form in the triple digits. Sunday, we're going to have a little bit of cloud cover, so that will be nice. But still, remember your sunscreen and your water to stay safe. From the Cronkite Weather Center, I'm John Kuzi.
If you think airplane seats are getting more and more cramped, you're not alone. That's because 2 U.S. senators want the Biden administration to investigate whether or not the seat space is too tight. Democratic Senators Tammy Duckworth and Tammy Baldwin have drafted legislation that would require the FAA to conduct new evacuation tests on board. They also want the agency to issue standards across the board, including how much space should be between each seat. The FAA has declined to comment on the matter.
An official said today that the Defense Department is tracking more than 800 cases of identified aerial phenomenon, or more commonly called UFOs. A Pentagon official made the revelation before a NASA panel. In fact, he says the DoD gets between 50 to 100 UFO reports a month. But he adds that only up to about 5% of those reports are true anomalies. That means anything that can't be identified as an aircraft or a known natural occurrence.
The Phoenix Rising just played their 11th game on Friday.
This means they are about a third of the way through their season.
Still to come on Cronkite News, we get an inside look about what the Rising are thinking moving forward to the rest of their season.
When you support Arizona PBS, you plant a seed. Seeds that provide educational outreach in our community. Seeds that put our digital resources to work. Seeds that foster the trusted news coverage you expect from PBS. And seeds that continue the amazing PBS programs you love. But our garden can't keep growing without your support. Visit our website to see all the ways you can help our garden grow. Plant a seed with Arizona PBS today.
My heart is racing right now.
Fasten your seatbelt.
You're uncovering the truth.
These are consequential things. Yeah.
Oh, look at everybody.
I feel the presence of all these people.
I've got history.
No.
I wish my ma could be here to see this.
Amazing. It's like the most vital stuff, right?
Tuesdays on Arizona PBS.
Welcome back to Cronkite News. When it comes to soccer, the race isn't always for the quickest, but for the ones that can endure the most.
And that's just the mindset of the Phoenix Rising this season. Our Enrique Rupert has more on the story.
11 games into the Rising season, and they've amassed 4 wins, 3 losses, and 4 draws. The slow start, however, is due to a number of factors. But in his first full season as head coach, Juan Guerra is taking things one step at a time.
No, we didn't start the way we wanted to. I've seen a lot of growth in areas that we needed to. between game model, style of play, and team culture. Those three things have been aligned, and it's been very clear.
This season, 18 out of the 24 players on the active roster are in their first season, and the majority of the team is trying to adjust to the new culture, which includes Jamaican international Kevin Lambert, who has been a part of the Rising for the last 6 seasons.
A lot of new guys coming in, different environment. Definitely took some time getting used to all the new players. It's been up and down, but we try to stay positive for the most part. We still have a lot of games to go, and I can only see us improving from here on out.
Despite the season's on and off the field changes, optimism remains at the forefront. The one constant, however, are these passionate fans, whose support for the Rising is unwavering.
We're going to have a lot of bumps in the road, but we're going to keep coming out. We're going to keep supporting. We got a brand new set of guys. We're building from the bottom up. Unfortunately, a lot of guys left, but you know what? We're Phoenix Rising. We're Bandidos. We're going to keep striving.
With the support of the fans and Los Banditos, the team is still missing one key component.
This is why we need to find consistency. Consistency of performances that lead to results, or consistency of results that give you the confidence then to bring those performances up. And then the third type of consistency is a consistency of personnel.
And with 23 games remaining, and currently being 7th on the table, the Rising hope to continue to compete for a playoff spot with an improved mindset. In Phoenix, I'm Enrique Rupert for Cronkite News.
The University of Arizona baseball team is heading to the NCAA tournament.
The Wildcats are one of 5 Pac-12 teams to receive a bid to the tournament.
Arizona's performance in the Pac-12 tournament is what helped their case. The Wildcats took down both number 10 Oregon State and number 3 Stanford. These 2 wins boosted them to the championship game, where they lost to the University of Oregon. Despite the loss, Arizona was still able to punch their ticket to the NCAA tournament. Arizona will be playing in Fayetteville Regional, hosted by Arkansas. Their first game is on Friday at 6 p.m. against TCU.
The Scripps National Spelling Bee is currently underway in Maryland, and among the 229 spellers, 3 are from Arizona.
But to hear them tell it, there are many more Arizonians there with them in spirit. Cronkite News reporter Isabel Garcia has the story from our Washington bureau.
In the competition at the national level, the pressure is on. But the 3 Arizona competitors have endless support from friends, families, and teachers that got them here.
Some of my friends helped me quiz like at lunch and stuff. My teachers always supported me. Like they said they would be rooting for me the whole way. My family has always been there quizzing me, helping me study. So I wouldn't be here without them.
Karen is one of the 3 Arizona middle school students who are here this week for the 95th annual Scripps National Spelling Bee. They all spent hours poring over the dictionary, preparation that allowed Basha middle schooler Opal Mishra to confidently handle her first word.
Hyssop.
Hyssop. Hyssop. Hyssop.
Correct.
Opal was the first speller in the competition to spell her word correctly, followed by Karen, who spelled wapiti. Window Rock middle schooler Tasba Spruhan was not so lucky. Her first round word was Grunendel. Tasba was upset, but still thankful to be at the competition, and for the folks back home who helped her get here.
My 7th grade ELA teacher, she was really into the spelling bee, and her daughter came to the National Spelling Bee 3 times, so she was the one who really inspired me to come and join the spelling bee. Ms. Haven, thank you so much for everything.
But support only goes so far. Hard work by the Arizona spellers is involved too.
I just study for like a few hours a day and then ask my parents to quiz me.
All those weeks, months, and years lead up to this 3-day competition. In National Harbor, Maryland, Isabel Garcia, Cronkite News.
Sadly, the spell was broken today for the remaining Arizona contestants.
Karen lost in the quarterfinals this morning, and Opal was eliminated in the semifinals just a few hours ago. The national finals will be held tomorrow night.
After the break, find out why and how these goats plan to make their way around the globe.
This is CN to Go. I'm Emily Olson with your Wednesday news briefing.
Do you want to create innovative content for Cronkite News? Do you enjoy listening to podcasts? Then CN to Go is for you. Cronkite News to Go is a podcast where students cover the latest headlines. Students become audio producers and hosts and will learn how to write, record, and edit stories. You can listen to the latest episodes on these platforms.
Finally tonight, several goats in England are kicking off a 30-day race around the world.
And they're doing it for a good cause. From 2 different zoos in the UK will walk, swim, or cycle a total of about 25,000 miles through the end of next month. That number is significant because it's equal to the circumference of the globe. And you can track their progress by following along on the Zoological Society of London's website. That's it for Cronkite News tonight. Thanks for joining us.